The newest intern at our office had only been there for a few days when she first asked if I could give her a ride home. She explained that her bus route had recently changed because of construction, and what used to be a simple commute had turned into a frustrating journey involving multiple transfers and long waits. Since her apartment happened to be only a few minutes away from my own neighborhood, I agreed without thinking much about it. It felt like a small favor that would make someone's first week at a new job a little easier. The next afternoon, she asked again, then the day after that. Soon, our daily drive home became an unspoken routine. Every evening she would gather her belongings, meet me near the parking lot, and thank me before climbing into the passenger seat. She always offered to pay for gas, but I refused. The extra few minutes hardly affected my commute, and she seemed genuinely grateful for the help. Her name was Emily, and despite being quiet around the office, she became surprisingly easy to talk to during those drives. We discussed everything from movies and travel to our favorite restaurants and embarrassing childhood stories. She was intelligent, funny, and far more mature than I expected from someone just beginning her career. What started as a favor gradually turned into one of the most relaxing parts of my workday. Naturally, people at the office began noticing. Coworkers started making harmless jokes whenever they saw us leaving together. Some assumed we were secretly dating, while others teased that I had become the company's unofficial chauffeur. We laughed along with the comments because neither of us took them seriously. The truth was much simpler. Two coworkers happened to live near each other, and one happened to own a car. Everything changed one rainy Thursday evening. Traffic was unusually heavy because of an accident on the highway, forcing me to take unfamiliar side streets through older parts of town. As we waited at a red light, Emily suddenly became unusually quiet. She stared out the passenger window toward a small grocery store on the corner. Her smile disappearing almost instantly. Without warning, she asked if we could stop for just a minute. Curious, I parked nearby. She stepped out of the car carrying the umbrella and disappeared inside the store. About 10 minutes later, she returned holding 2 grocery bags. Instead of asking me to continue toward her apartment, she quietly directed me to another neighborhood several blocks away. We eventually stopped in front of a modest house that had clearly seen better days. "I'll only be a minute," she said softly. From the driver's seat, I watched her walk inside. An elderly woman answered the door. Emily immediately hugged her before carrying the groceries into the kitchen. I hadn't expected that. When she returned to the car, I apologized for accidentally witnessing what was obviously something personal. She smiled gently. "That's my grandmother," she explained. She then told me something she had never mentioned before. Her parents had both passed away several years earlier, and her grandmother had raised her ever since. The internship was her first real opportunity to build a career, but because the salary was modest, she couldn't yet afford both rent near the office and regular financial support for the woman who had sacrificed everything to raise her. Every week she spent as little money as possible so she could buy groceries and medication for her grandmother before returning to her small apartment. The bus delays hadn't merely been inconvenient, they had been causing her to arrive too late to visit before the local pharmacy closed. Suddenly, our daily rides took on an entirely different meaning. Over the next several weeks, I learned more about her life than I ever expected. She wasn't asking for rides because she wanted convenience. She was trying to save every dollar she could while juggling work, bills, and caring for the only close family member she had left. The money she saved on transportation often became the difference between buying groceries or postponing another expense. One Friday afternoon, our department manager announced that the internship program was ending sooner than expected due to budget cuts. Several interns would not be offered permanent positions. Emily tried to hide her disappointment, but I could see it in her eyes. She thanked everyone for the opportunity and quietly returned to organizing her desk. That evening, during our usual drive home, she admitted she wasn't worried about herself as much as she was worried about her grandmother. Losing the internship meant losing hope for stable employment, and with it, the ability to continue helping the person who had always helped her. The following Monday, something unexpected happened. Our company's senior director visited our department and asked Emily to join him in a conference room. Nearly an hour later, she emerged with tears in her eyes. Instead of ending her internship, the company had offered her a full-time position in another division. Apparently, someone had quietly recommended her after hearing about her work ethic and professionalism. She looked at me with a smile I had never seen before. Months later, after she had settled into her new role, she finally admitted something that completely surprised me. The rides home weren't the only reason I kept asking. I looked at her, Confused, she laughed before explaining, "When I first started here, I barely knew anyone. You were the only person who treated me like I belonged from the very beginning." Every drive home reminded me that kindness still existed in places where I expected only competition. Her words stayed with me long after that conversation ended. Looking back, I realized I had spent weeks believing I was simply helping a coworker avoid a difficult commute. In reality, those short drives represented something much bigger. They gave someone a little extra time with the family member she loved most, a little extra money to stretch an already tight budget, and perhaps most importantly, reassurance that even in a busy workplace filled with strangers, genuine compassion could still make an ordinary journey home feel a little less lonely.